Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. We're continuing our deep dive into this radical feminist book in order to understand their philosophy and offer a counter narrative, but we can't do that if we don't actually understand what it is they believe. And it is quite popular now for people to label anything and everything they don't like feminism, and I think that's muddying the waters. So, at least with this text, we will be able to look directly at what they say and then argue with it, right? Let us begin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. It is easier to believe that you are unworthy than it is to believe that the world is unjust, because you cannot change the world by yourself. It is easier to lie to yourself than to allow yourself to be lied to. It's easier when you have to watch petty despots bully and cheat their way to power, when you are forced to confront the real extent of R-word and abuse being revealed around you, to try to believe that somehow you chose this, that somehow you wanted it, that somehow you asked for it. So here, this gets at the very tense conversation that some women don't like to have, which is accountability and not putting yourself in harm's way, but also scapegoating, right? The man says, well, look how you were dressed, but then someone says, well, women who even dress modestly still have things done to them, and then others would argue it's about the stimulation that puts the evil thoughts. And then when you look even deeper, you see that men are capable of doing things to children, to elderly women, to dead bodies, to animals. And then you get at the real core of the issue is that evil men who force themselves on women, they are in fact just evil, and it is quite sad. Asking for it as if we really live in an age of consent, as if coercion were not a formative part of how we find work, form families, and fight to survive. What happens when enough people stop believing that they ever wanted a world like this? Okay. So many people have learned to mistrust their own desire. That's because so many desires are still stigmatized and punished. Well, some should be, I'd argue, by a culture that exploits and wants to control bodies that are female and femme and trans and queer and poor and black and brown and disabled. Ugh. Ugh. I want you to see her strategy. So she put trans and poverty and black people and Latinos in the same category. Remember, she is very anti-white and she's anti-heterosexual male Christian. Alright? So, what does she think about a straight black male who is a Muslim? Right? What would she say about that? Or Chinese. A heterosexual male Chinese Muslim. Okay? To control your body is not bad. You shouldn't indulge in impulsivity. That is one reason why I think STDs exist. Because people become so depraved that it's a spiritual condition that leads them to do risky things, and those risky things produce more disease. There's a lot that could be said, but it's very disgusting. It's just gross. From the first time she catches herself craving something she has been told will put her in danger, make her deserving of violence, a young girl learns to squash and stifle her own desires. You can have healthy desires, right? Confines of marriage. I don't want to be gross, but Islam has really good rules for women. No intimacy on your menses. Stay out of the second hole, because there's a lot of biohazards, diseases. Just keep yourself modest, keep Don't talk about your intimacy stuff with strangers. Don't make videos and post it online of your actions with each other. It's not really that wild to just be decent and classy. But again, the radical feminists and the sexual revolution want to publicize their debauchery, which is also part of their kink, I'd argue. They like pushing their grotesqueness on unwilling observers. When she wants to touch a forbidden body with her own, forbidden body. This is how you know a woman's written it. I mean, she's a woman, obviously, but forbidden. That's very. I read some of these romance novels just to give myself a laugh, and it was like, oh, it's forbidden fruit. It's ridiculous. Imagine if you had like a bag of trash, and you're like, this trash bag is forbidden for you to cut open and stick your hand in. Someone's like, ew, yes, I want to stick my hand in there. And it's so forbidden, it's so naughty. And then they stick their hand in there and they're like, oh, I got Ebola. It's like, you idiot. Yeah. When she wants to create something bold and daring. When she wants to compete with the boys. What does she mean by compete with the boys? I mean, let me put it this way. I roughhouse a lot with the boys. You know, and it's only the skinny guys you can really overpower. The skinny, nerdy, shy boys who don't really hit back. But when you get like the guy who's doing the quarterback or linebacker on the football team, you're just like, yeah, you win. You know, you win. Yeah, you can compete in chess, building Legos, constructing the beauty of a garden. There are mental things you can test. Mathematics, right? Memorization of history. There's different ways to compete. So I wonder how she's meaning it here. When she wants to talk back to authority, I have that in me. I do talk back to authority a lot. And, you know, some bosses were really quite patient with me. You know, they didn't really fire me when they could have. You know, I don't have a problem with authority, but it's just that I'm not afraid to tell truth to power, and I'm not overly intimidated by someone's position. I respect it, but if I'm able, I'm gonna call a spade in a respectful way. And alhamdulillah, I was never fired for that. But if I saw something that was just an injustice or just not right, I would mention it. And everything was pretty much okay. And I was not really nervous with working with the bosses. I didn't flatter them. I didn't kiss ass. I just really was who I was, authentic, and I think that's why they always gave me closing shifts and stuff like that, because they knew I would make sure everything was in place before locking up. Or opening, because when you open, you need the codes and the keys and everything, so it'd be really trustworthy. And if I saw something was out of place, I would always speak up. Like, I was not the kind of worker who I did inventory, wine bottles are missing, something's up, right? Doesn't mean I was a snitch. Like, if someone's eating shrimp when they're only supposed to have chicken, whatever, I'm not gonna be like micromanaging to that degree. But if you're stealing wine, I'm not having your back. What are you talking about? So you can talk back to authority in a way in which the authority will tolerate it. When she feels outrage at the unfairness of the world pressing against her clenched teeth, when she wants more than she has been told to want. It is dangerous for a woman to want things when she is supposed to spend her life serving the wants of others. Okay, I see kind of what she's getting at. So the wants of others, your children, number one. Alright. That's what you have to give that first. And, you know, ironically, you know, when I want something, like I want to buy this very fancy cheese, my husband would be like, okay, you know. I want, what have I said I wanted? I let him pick a lot. Like, I let him pick the bed frames. Like, he picked my computer. I don't know. He picked a truck. All I'm trying to say is, I kind of let him pick a lot of things. But when I really want something, like, I want to go to the lake. Okay, let's go to the lake. Right? But you say it in a way that is nice, smooth, cute, funny, not naggy, bossy, bitchy. I mean, usually you can get what you want, you know. And women, if you really want something, you're gonna look at your man and you're gonna see what kind of mood is he in, right? Has he taken a shower? Has he eaten? Is he relaxed? Woo! You know, you can find a way to say it in a nice way, you know. Pet the panther, you know. He's not angry. And you're gonna get what you want. If Allah wills, right? But if you got your hands on your hips, like, meh, 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 sometimes that doesn't work. Unless they're doing something grievous, like you have to fix the tires or you have to go get this checked at the mechanic. But I mean, if it's something small, just overlook it. You know, most men are responsible if you pick the right man. And the very worst thing a person who is any combination of female or queer or of color can do is ask for it. Now, again, she's really clever here because you'll start off being like, queer, okay, female, and then it's race. So these leftists have a very unique tactic of getting to the very niche. A queer black female. It's so niche. It's like they really focus in on a minority of a minority. And then try to appeal to the larger front, like the larger should always be concerned with what this niche is. And if society focused on too many niches, I mean, you can't really function that way. You gotta have some type of normalcy going on here with what you expect everyone to focus on. And I don't agree that, you know, the worst thing is somebody who is non-white asking for something. That doesn't make any sense. I don't make no sense to me at all. You know, because there's just so many different races in America and in the world. It just seems like maybe it's the way you're asking, who you're asking, when you're asking. Those are probably more of a factor than your skin shade. Or your demands are reasonable. Stuff like that. Because once people start asking, it's hard to get them to stop. And more women are asking if things could be different. If work could be more meaningful. If you want meaningful work, you need to go with what you actually find meaning in. Okay? When I was making little soaps and candles and stuff like that, and painting, selling paintings, I found a lot of meaning in that. When I do these videos, I find an immense amount of meaning in it. So I do what is meaningful to myself. That's why I don't do reaction videos and copy other channels like Bobby's Perspective or The Great Thinker Show. That's not my genre. And people will nag me, oh, you need to copy this person and you need to do this so you can get this and get money and get followers. And I'm like, no, that's just not what I'm doing, because it would be dead content and I'm not monetized, so those views don't mean anything. And being shadow banned, what am I supposed to do? Like, it don't make no sense. So I do what's meaningful to myself, and then it doesn't really become like work, right? So if you want meaningfulness in your work and your occupation, you have to go for what you're actually going to enjoy doing every day to the day you die. And when I was in the restaurant industry, I was there for the money. I love food. I love the dynamic nature of menu selections and forming menus and seeing people eat with happiness, right? As something that's cooked well. But I hated the politics of the job, you know? So being a stay-at-home mom, I definitely feel like I have more meaning in my life. And sometimes you're going to have to go for what's going to give you meaning. You can't go to a job and expect them to meet your demands. Rather, you go to the job that already has the demands you want. And a corporate office job is not going to be like the Netflix show The Office. They're a economic machine. They need money. And you gotta get the bag. You cannot just make everything like that so interpersonal. Now, if you're a farmer and you find meaning in that, you have a cattle ranch, you find meaning in that, that's you, right? You have a fur shop, you sell exotic koi fish, you have an oyster farm, you are a fisherman who goes out and gets wonderful Maine lobsters and sells them, right? And you truly enjoy being out on the sea. Cool. But if you're gonna go to McDonald's and then demand that McDonald's make you feel like you have meaning and purpose, you're not really in your field then. You gotta go to the job that gives you that naturally, because a corporation is not gonna give that to you. If sex could be better, well, if you want that, then you need to have a connection with the person. You just gotta tell them, okay? You just gotta tell them what you want. And honestly, if he's not listening to you, like you're like, put your hand here, do this, I don't want this position, and they're not listening, they're just in their zone locked, just let him have his fun. And then next time, like, oh, could we try this? Or, I really wanted to do this, and it feels so much better when we do this, or blah, 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 or could we have this flavored oil, or you name it. Like, if you want something, you can have shyness and say it. But if you don't say anything, and then you say, could this be better? He's not a mind reader, okay? You gotta let him know, okay? So I don't like that, what you just said. If love could hurt less, no, love cannot hurt less, okay? That's why you never fully give your heart to a man, okay? You give your heart to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And to your children. And the man is like number 3, okay? You don't just give your heart on a platter to the guy because he's gonna lay you down. Because he may want to, if you can't handle polygamy, or him, I don't know, doing something stupid like looking at women on Instagram, and you have a lot of jealousy, it's gonna hurt you, okay? You have to know how to close them doors, alright? You're not 16 in high school with your first love. Close those doors. You don't want to be a cold ice queen vampire, but you need to close a little bit and be like, I must look to my children and my soul, and focus on that. And then the man has less puppet strings on you, and you'll be hurt less. Okay? More women are asking if they might do something bigger with their lives than wear themselves out, saving the world one man at a time. No. You can do something what you think is bigger. Like, for example, the person Uncle Rural, who I watch on YouTube, who makes cooking videos, his videos, I watch them in the middle of the night when I'm giving a nursing session with my baby. And it makes me so happy because I like it. It is so comfortable and cozy. It's part of my night routine. When I'm awake at 2 a.m., right? And him doing that is like helping me. So he's not out making the next rocket to go to Mars, but he's making videos that I'm like, I love this. I'm learning. Chinese food is my favorite food besides Japanese sushi. I love it. And I'm taking care of my baby. And I'm benefiting from his work, even though he's not working a Fortune 500 company, right? So you can find your purpose, and people will benefit from you, even if you don't get to see their face. So you cannot save a man, okay? You can help people, and you can help them in small little ways or large ways, and you should be happy with either way. Okay, some people will say, you know what, you inspired me to cook, or you inspired me to start a hobby. You inspired me to learn plumbing, or to have a garden, or to visit my family more. Little things. Oh, you inspired me to have another baby. Yada yada. Okay? It's not going to be some people getting on their knees and holding their hands and being like, you inspired me to start a company to rival Amazon. right? You cannot save a man. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can save him, and you can just be you, help when you ask for advice, and then give your best opinion and keep it flowing, keep it moving. Alright? You're not, if someone wants to screw up their life and go to prison, that's on them. They want to screw their life up and smoke crack, that's on them. You can't, there's a phrase men have, you can't be Captain Save-A-Ho. And when it comes to women, you cannot save him from himself. If he's determined to wreck himself, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself. Like, we have all these common phrases that are kind of cliche, but they're actually really true. About, people have to have accountability. You can bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Okay, you can't take the stallion and push its face in the water and not expect for it to kick you. The dumb thing may need to drink, but he might be spooked because he sees a wolf over there, or he don't like the surroundings, or he's being a horse. Some people don't want to help themselves, and if they didn't pay you to help them, what are you doing? You can find better ways to help people. So just within this small couple sentences, I disagree with some things she said. It's very interesting. Let me know what you think. We've broken down a lot here, and I see what she's saying with some things, and I disagree with her on other things, but that makes for a good book, because I was agreeing with everything and I'm not being prompted to think. I'd be like, okay, she's not as controversial as she thought she is. But I expect a feminist to be kind of like, right in your face, But it's very interesting to look at, nonetheless. Let me know what you think, and if you'd like to join my blog, it's www.subscribestar.com/MilhanArchive. Hope to see you there.